sweet girl. And breathing, 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 breathing.
Welcome to the HABBAT Show!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the HABBAT Show. I'm Taylor.
And my name is Tyler.
It's nice to have y'all with us. We've got a very special show for y'all today. So Tyler, I heard you at this wild party last night.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, man. It was pretty wild.
What made it wild?
Well, I mean, I noticed, it's pretty ordinary seeing these young kids at parties, how they want to go out and have a good time.
Yeah.
But it just got a little out of hand.
How did it get out of hand?
Well, they were using too many drugs and a lot of alcohol and mixing that stuff together, and it wasn't good, man. I mean, the cops got called on, or they got called. Someone called the cops on them.
Yeah.
So the cops said, raided the party. Kids started going crazy. They started tripping out, and I don't know what. So I jetted.
Yeah.
So I thought, what a good thing to actually experience to see that, because it was a good. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, is how kids, teenagers, and young adults are going to, how they use and abuse drugs and alcohol.
So we do have a few special doctors with us today. First, we have Dr. Andrews. Everybody give it up for Dr.
Give it up for Dr. Andrews. How's it going?
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show with us.
Of course.
So what got you started being a doctor?
Well, I wasn't going to be a doctor my whole life. When I was young, I would always hang out with those types of people that would always be around drugs, and I'd always see how it reacts to them, and it made me want to change my life. So I started to go to school again. I started out in community college, and then I went to University of Houston to get my master's, and I got my PhD at the University of Texas. And so now I'm a doctor, just helping young adults, trying to make them into better people.
Well, that's awesome. It's a great story.
Thank you.
Glad you're with that cause. We also have another specialist with us today. Everybody give it up for my close personal friend, Dr. Sean John.
Dr. Sean John.
How you doing, man? Good to have you on the show.
How's it going?
So,
I like your blazer. You look like a pilot. Yours too. All right, thanks.
tell us a little bit about what you do.
Right now I'm practicing ER doctor. Initially wasn't planning to be a doctor. Initially just liked chemistry as a kid. I put things there to see they blow up.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah. But growing up, being a teenager and seeing how drugs affected people, I wasn't so much so concerned about their well-being, just seeing the effects, like, wow, okay, so what's actually happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I went on to University of Houston to study biochemistry and to just see the interactions, and then later on I felt called to just pursue medicine, seeing as it seemed financially. It made sense financially, and also it just seemed like I'd be helping more people. By
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Everybody give it up for Dr. Sean.
Okay, so what these specialists, or what the specialist and this doctor are here for today, they're here to maybe inflict some goodness into another person that we have coming as a guest on our show today. And her name, she herself is a drug addict. She has been using and abusing drugs for a while, so let's hear her story. Her name is Brittany. Let's give it up for Brittany, y'all. How's it going, Brittany? Brittany?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
How good is pretty good?
Pretty good.
Say you're a drug addict, am I correct?
I mean, I wouldn't call myself an addict. I am a person who enjoys drugs frequently, up to 6 times a day. But I wouldn't say addict.
Why not? That sounds like an addict.
It's such a harsh word, addict. I mean, I feel like I do break every once in a while. I mean, I don't do it when I sleep. That means I'm not an addict. So I mean, it's not constant. You know what I mean? Shopfield.
So you're on drugs right now?
Yeah.
What kind of drugs are you on?
Well, let's see. I just took a bump of coke before I came on the show. I mean, like I was in the audience. I mean,
So you have cocaine, so you're doing lines off of Dr. Phil's head back there.
yeah, it was.
Why?
It's a perfect surface. It's like bald, shiny, so it's like good.
You had to get your fix on.
What?
You had to get your fix?
Yeah, I did. I did.
And so, like, what got you started into these hardcore drugs?
It really started in school. My friends started doing them, and I was like, you know what? Why not?
Can't really see it.
Oh, okay.
All right. You said, what now? You can't. You started when you were in school. Your
Yeah.
friends started peer pressuring you.
I mean, I don't think it was peer pressure. They were just like, come on, bro, do it. And I was like, I don't want to. I mean, I don't know if you call it peer pressure, but I was like, I get it.
That's peer pressure.
Oh, okay, then yeah.
Well, that's
Peer
not good.
pressure.
What drug did you start out with?
Yeah. What drugs did you initially start using?
It started with just like a little bit of weed, you know, like the basics, and then just kind of escalated from there. Weed wasn't enough after a while.
So what did you escalate to afterwards?
Then I got into my richer friends. They were like, come on, take some coke with me. I was like, okay. And then that wasn't enough, so I started doing oxy. And then it wasn't enough, so now I'm doing heroin.
Heroin.
So you're pretty up there on the drug scale.
Heroin's considered the #1 hardest drug there is out there. What do you think about that?
I think it makes me feel good.
Like, as in, I'm famous because I use a famous drug?
Hardly, but also I'm just like, damn, it's a good ecstasy.
Huh. We do have a specialist, Dr. Shauna John, with us. He'd like to kind of explain what happens to you when you take these certain drugs.
Okay, so let's start with cocaine. It seems very interesting. In Colombia, the men out there usually just go out in the farms, take the leaf, and they suck on it. It's a stimulant. For them, it's like their coffee. Yeah. But in high doses, when you do extract the leaf and you concentrate it, it becomes extremely dangerous to where it becomes so addictive that you keep chasing that high. To where you keep chasing that high. So for instance, when you take cocaine, there are certain receptors in your brain that it blocks, which is why there's that feeling of a high. Because when those transmitters are supposed to take those neurotransmitters back in, they don't. So it's like, I'm happy now, and so on and so forth. As opposed to that, there's also the feelings of strength and alertness, and like I'm ready to do anything that comes to mind if you've experienced anything.
Dr. Andrews, how do you feel about her taking these drugs?
Well, I have a question. Whenever you first started, did you started because your friends were doing it, and then you started doing it because you became addictive? Is that what it was? Or you always do it because your friends do it?
Mostly that one.
So you never thought about like trying to get a different group of friends and like hanging out with a different crowd so you can like better yourself?
No.
No, this is the path you want to take your whole life? Because that doesn't, it's not going to lead you into education and getting a job and having a family. That's not what you're looking for or anything.
I mean, I hope one day to have a career, but as of right now, it's just not an option.
No, because it's extremely hard to stop using any type of drug whenever you're so far into it. So it's better to stop whenever you're young.
So now, like, have you seen any changes lately in your drug usage? Like, have you seen yourself getting better, not using as much, or you're just all out? You do not know what's going on because of the drugs?
Mostly that one. I'm always just like in a constant state of like euphoria. Trying to wake up and just like, more drugs. Haven't really slowed myself down.
Well, have you ever thought about how one day it could possibly end your life, or maybe your career, like you had said you wanted to start, it can definitely compromise that. Have you ever thought about that?
No,
Now you want.
So you taken anything from our doctors today? You learned anything at all?
I mean, I guess I'm gonna try to slow down, but there's no promises.
I'm sure we could get some help, from
We
people
do
we
have
know.
a great medical staff here that could help you.
I don't want to be like admitted to any rehab. Like,
No, it's
that's
not
what I would say.
rehab or anything.
No, this is not what we're trying to do.
Okay.
It's just an option for you. We want to make sure you do okay, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, trying to better your life. Thanks for coming out.
All right, guys. So this concludes the first third of our show. Coming up next, we're gonna have a victim of a drunk driving accident. So stay tuned with us, and we'll be back with the show today. All right.
See you later.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the HABBAT show. What we had last, we were talking about a drug addict. She actually was featured on our show just a little bit ago, and we had two specialists up here explaining the effects of drugs and alcohol and what it can do to her and possibly affect her. So, what we're going to talk about now is a victim. We're going to have a victim on our show that has been affected by these drugs and alcohol through her life, and it affects her daily. So let's give it up for Hillary.
How you doing, Miss Hillary?
I'm doing fine today. Thank you.
Good. It's nice having you on the show. It is nice. All right. So, how old are you?
I am currently 21, just turned 21 a few weeks ago.
Happy belated birthday. Yeah.
Birthday.
Thanks, Taylor. All right. So, I guess, how are you a victim of the drugs and alcohol?
Just a year ago, my husband and I were driving back from my sister's house, and we had gone there to let our children play together. My kid was in the back seat. We had strapped him on right because, be safe, and we were just
Is that? So you're just driving along
Yeah.
casually
just
on your way
casually.
home, you said?
Yes. I was driving. We were going through a green light, and there was a car on the other side. It honked at us, so we turned around. But by the time we turned around, the car had already, hit us, and the car kind of swerved, and then it hit another car on the other side. I don't really remember much. I hit my head. I had bruises and cuts and a few broken bones. By the time I woke up, I was already in the hospital. The doctors told me that my husband was in and out of consciousness, and my son died on impact.
Oh, sorry to hear that. That's a very hard to tell story. It's pretty heavy stuff right there. This driver, I assume, he ran this red light
Yes.
that he was supposed to obviously stop at. So how was he intoxicated?
He was intoxicated and he was drunk.
Drugged
Yes.
and intoxicated with alcohol.
Yes.
What
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
drugs was it?
No, they didn't specifically tell me. I think they did a report, but I don't remember much.
So is he in jail now?
He is currently in jail for 5 years. He's serving 5 years without bail.
Dr. Shonzel, how could alcohol affect your system?
So primarily, depending on the person's age, weight, if they've eaten, if they're male or female, in some cases their race, alcohol can have certain effects. Some describe it as a neurological grenade, whereas some drugs act on specific parts of your brain, your neurotransmitters. Alcohol just takes everything out.
Immediately.
Depending on the amount, yes.
So you believe that he was strongly enough intoxicated to where he couldn't process if it was a red light or not?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I know we don't have the official report to say how drunk he was, but
And for you not to be able to judge whether or not to run the red light, for you to lack the judgment to actually enter your car while being intoxicated, means he had a lot to drink.
So there was the sobriety test that proves at what level intoxication that he was at?
I don't remember.
That's fine. Wow. Well, how does this affect you now? Like, I mean, it's your 21st birthday, and I mean, usually whoever 21-year-old wants to go celebrate and drink with their family and friends. I mean, was that the case for you?
No, I stayed home. We did a little memorial for my dead husband and my kid.
But your husband died as well.
Yes.
Well, we are extremely sorry for your losses, and we hope you the best, and whatever good will come. So,
Thanks for sharing your story.
thank you very much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we're going to take a short little break again, and when we get back, we're going to talk about a convict. Is that right?
yes, we have a convict.
Convict on our show. All right. Well, you stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly.
All right.
Marty, did you take out the garbage like your father told you?
Live above weed. Live above the influence.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the HABBAT Show. We just finished up talking about our drunk driving victim. She lost her husband and kid because of a drunk driver. But now we do have a very special guest with us. She was convicted when she was younger, just let out recently. So everybody give it up for Adrian.
Hello, Adrian. How are you?
I'm good, just having a little cold, but I'm pretty good.
Good. I'm glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So, how old were you when you got convicted?
17.
So you're kind of young, still a minor.
Yeah.
What exactly did you get convicted of?
I was caught doing drugs. I was selling pills, and then I was trying to sell other drugs for money.
So what actually got you into selling?
Well, I was trying to be an aspiring musician, and that actually worked out. I was getting pretty good in the local scene, and then I got in an accident, and my back had problems, and I had to take painkillers for a long time. And then I tried to get back into the scene again, and they were like, no, you're old news. We don't want you. And so I needed money, and some of my friends at the time, they needed some painkillers, but they didn't want to go to the store. They were at my house, and I let them have some, and then I thought, hey, this could be profitable. And then more and more, I just started selling them, and I thought, well, this is really good money, and I could save up, and then maybe I could go somewhere else and start again with my music career. And when that happened, some fans had found out, but instead of being really mad about it, they started buying from me. And when the cops found out,
So you got arrested for
Yes.
selling.
yes,
You were sentenced for how long exactly?
3 years.
So you just recently got out.
Yeah,
Okay.
So that makes you 20.
yeah. Gonna be 21.
You're 21 soon.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's pretty wild. Did you ever think that you would end up like in jail or in trouble for just just first starting to just, hey, to your friends, would you like some painkillers?
Well, when when I didn't start charging them, no, not at the time, but then I realized, well, I'm really poor and I need some money. I mean, my glasses are super glued on right now. So, you know, I can't afford insurance or whatever, and I needed the money, and I was just desperate, so.
So how did jail affect you?
Well, I got to see how real drug addicts had gone through their rehab and how some of them were very inspiring trying to get through, even though sometimes when they had false positives and they were really good, they were still being punished for it, and it really made me mad and inspired me to get some songs out on paper.
So since you've been out, have you tried to come back and sell anymore, or have you tried to use any more painkillers at all?
Well, I think if I were in that spot again, it might happen, but right now I'm trying to inspire people and get, you know, some of these ex-convicts to get on, you know, bring out music and bring awareness, but it might happen again, who knows?
So Dr. Sean John, exactly what can get a person addicted to painkillers?
It's more a psychological thing, other than the reward you get from the relief of pain. It's like, there's no more pain.
Yeah.
There must be something good about this. So it's your brain depending on this chemical and keeping you going back.
Dr. Andrews, do you have any input on that?
Do you ever regret selling and doing drugs and losing like 3 years of your life where you could have become something else or worked on music career?
I wish I could be, but I was really desperate for money, and I know that sounds really bad, but you need money to get around this world. But now that I'm out and I've seen the pain that some of these people have gone through, I feel a lot more inspired and maybe able to help people now.
Instead of going back to the old ways?
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
Well, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
All right, so now actually what I want to do is I want to get all of our guests up here.
Well, we want to thank everybody for being on the show with us. It was a great show.
We had a great time,
A lot of fun.
a lot of fun, some sad stories, but it'll be better. That's why we're here. So thank y'all for coming out. Nice meeting y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Oh, this was-
Thank you.
Yeah.